Yo, what's going on guys? It's I am Bertrude, and if you're new around here, welcome in, welcome to the channel. If you didn't know, oh look, that's me, that's my icon, come on down, welcome in guys. If you didn't know, I make Elden Ring videos. I make builds and I absolutely love invading. I've currently got around 48 Elden Ring builds, and these aren't respecs. Every build I make I keep and I can go back to and invade on that build whenever I want. It's absolutely glorious. I'm going to start doing a new series, and in this series I'm going to bunch some of my builds together and show you all the different variations of a particular build that you can actually make in this game. This time around we're going to focus on my bleed builds, so you guys just sit back, relax and enjoy. Okay guys, to start this video off we're going to be looking at the Blood Bruiser. Now this build is an absolute beast. I'm going to just say straight off the bat that this is one of the strongest builds I think I've ever made. We're looking at definitely top 5, maybe even top 2 or 3 builds that I've ever made. It's just an absolute powerhouse of a build. Compared to the other builds that are going to be featured in this video, this is definitely the kind of, like I say, it's kind of the bleed powerhouse. It's all about those big hard hitting shots. He does a lot of physical damage rather than just bleed build up, and he's just a very strong build. He's a bit of a gank buster, whereas some of the other builds in this video, they're going to be a lot more suited to single targets. Some of them do struggle in big gank situations, but not this guy. This build is an absolute monster. It's so much fun, it's so effective. And like I say, it's very hard hitting. We're doing a lot of physical damage with our weapons. It's pretty much just a strength build, this one. We're not really spec'ing to arcane on this build. It's pretty much a strength build, but we're using that blood flame blade, which we're applying to our weapons for the extra build up. And all of the weapons on this build actually do innate bleed build up as well. So when you add blood flame blade to the mix and add it to the weapons, we're all of a sudden getting a really potent bleed mixture, as well as some pure heavy damage from our weapons. Nice invasion to start off with there. You could see how well we handled that gank situation. We got down to the host and we got a bit of assistance from the PvE for the finish. Really nice invasion to start. You can also see on this build that we're using the spiked palisade shield. Absolutely awesome build. It's the main feature of this one. When I made this build, the whole theme of this build was built around the shield. It was all about getting those big ashes of war on the shield and just exploding people into a glorious bloody mist. I started off with that, and then I built the weapons around the shield. So it's quite a strength heavy shield for the stat investment. So off that I realised that it was going to be pretty much a strength build from the start. So I added the weapons afterwards once I knew that we was going to be investing into strength, and then I built around it afterwards with the blood flame blade and realised that I could make it a lot more potent on the bleed side of things as well as the strength. And yeah, this is what we was left with, just an absolute powerhouse. It's got 3 weapons on it. The main one being this one here, the flamberge, the flamberge, innit? It's the flamberge. And this is the weapon that I initially wanted to use with the build along with the shield. It just looks great. It looks like this really deadly like knight character with his shield and the flamberge greatsword. It just all fits together really well. So I picked the flamberge first, and the flamberge has actually got piercing fang on it. I'm pretty sure it's piercing fang and not the other lunging attack ash of war. I think it's piercing fang. But we picked the flamberge, and then we picked the great stars, great hammer as well, and we also picked the omen great axe, I believe it is, the weapon we was using in the first invasion. I think that is the name. I do apologise if that's the wrong name for the other weapon, but we've got three weapons altogether: the flamberge, the great stars, and I'm just going to call it the Omen Killer's axe. I think you all know what I mean. It looks like a toothbrush. It's an absolutely deadly looking weapon. It fits the build really well, as they all do. And yeah, it's just really deadly stuff. You can see in this one we've missed a couple of attacks there with the shield, but it's okay because we're putting some pressure on him. Nice swap there to the piercing fang ash of war. And it's just an easy kill. Good invasion again. You can see how strong this build is. Really good stuff. Now we're back on with the Omen Killer axe here. You can see it looks like a massive big toothbrush. That's just how I'm going to refer to it. It's just a toothbrush weapon. But this is the last invasion for this build, so let's take a look how this one goes. We've got this team of Kevins. We've got these two Kevins here. We've got the guy with the lightning axe, just the Stormhawk axe, trying to catch us out in the Ash of War. Putting a lot of pressure on us, but we get a nice shield crash here on there. Look at that. Look at the damage. The damage is insane. The blood build-up is insane. We're just putting out so much damage on this build. It's absolutely awesome. This Kevin is using the Sword of the Night and Flame. We take him out. Another nice shield crash on the host, and it's pretty much a done deal now. Just pressure him down. Nice little spinning slash for the kill. 4 invasions there, showing just how strong the Blood Bruiser is. So for performance for this build, it's getting an S tier. Absolutely awesome. It's one of the strongest builds I've made. So strong, really good stuff. Fun factor, it's an A. Really fun build, getting those shield crashes. And the fashion is a B. Fashion could be better, but it really suits the build and I'm happy with it for now. So there we go. Let's have a look at the next build. So the next member of the Bleed crew is the Blood Ninja. This is a typical ninja type build that I wanted to make. It's a lot of fun again. It's a really nice playstyle. I don't have many builds that are focused around katanas, so I wanted to bring the katanas into this build as the main focus. And yes, you probably have seen already that we are using the Rivers of Blood on this build. Now, I just want to say straight away that obviously the Rivers of Blood is a strong weapon. It is a strong weapon, there's no denying it, but as soon as I put it onto this build and I actually started using it, I realised that it's actually a lot of fun. It's kind of one of those weapons that I always said to myself, I'm never going to use Rivers of Blood. You know, it's got a certain reputation. But I thought I've made a hell of a lot of builds and I've never tried it. So I put it on this build, committed to the ninja theme, and I actually realised that the Rivers of Blood is very fun. It's a very fun weapon. And against really tough ganks, you know, it's not too bad in terms of it being overpowered. I think when you've got a gank using it against you as a solo invader, and you've got a couple of them just spamming the Ash of War, yeah, it can be very overpowered, it can be very oppressive. But from an invading standpoint, when you're going up against 2 or 3 heavily armoured opponents with big strong weapons, you know, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad to include as part of a kit. So it's a lot of fun, and I think it's quite balanced from an invader's standpoint. You can see on this build though, we're not just spamming the Ash of War and the Rivers of Blood. There's a lot more going on than that. I wanted to create a playstyle that didn't involve just spamming the Ash of War. Although we do use it, obviously, it's not all about just spamming it. We're also using the Nagakiba in our offhand, and that's equipped with Poisonous Mist. So the idea with this build is that we're going to try and inflict poison with the Nagakiba and the Poisonous Mist. We've also got the Black Bow in our second weapon slot on our left hand with Poisonous Arrows, so we can use the arrows as well to inflict poison. We've then got the Talisman that gives us a damage buff when we do inflict poison. So the idea is that we're going to be inflicting poison, and then we're getting a nice little damage buff for the rest of the fight. And it actually works really well, and it creates a nice little mini game in the invasions where I'm looking to inflict poison first before solely relying on the bleed procs. It's just a nice little extra feature to this build. and I think it kind of really does fit the ninja theme quite well. It's something, you know, you could imagine a ninja doing, isn't it? Like a nice poisonous blade mixed into some bleed build up. It's just really cool. I love this build. I love the fashion of this build. It's very good. It's a level 200 build. If there's one area where this build is maybe lacking, maybe it lacks a little bit of poison defences. We've got the bull goat's leggings on, but our helmet and our armour overall isn't the tankiest. So maybe we do struggle a little bit in that area. We could be, you know, we could be a bit stronger in that area at this level, but the fashion came first with this build. It's a ninja build. I didn't want to make a ninja build and just put some big chonky armour on it. I wanted it to look like a ninja. You could see we switched to the pole blade there in that invasion as well. We also have that equipped in our second weapon slot on our right hand. A really nice little quick swap option. Yeah, it just makes it even more deadly. And when we do actually hit that Ash of War, it looks super stylish. You can see here we're making use of the poisonous mist on the host. He's absolutely determined to get this Ash of War off the hand of Melania there. Absolutely determined. And he gives us two easy hits with the poisonous mist. And you can see now that he's got the poison ticking away, so we've got a nice little damage buff. This was quite a simple invasion. I don't know why the summon is standing back so much. He's not really helping the host. But finish him off with the rivers of blood there. Absolutely explode him into a bloody mist. Not a poisonous mist. It's a bloody mist. So looking at this build, it gets performance B+. It's very strong, but as I said, poison defences are lacking a little bit. Fun factor, it's an A. It's really fun swapping to the bow and using the other weapons on the build. And fashion is an A. Absolutely awesome fashion. We just look like a ninja. I love the mask and how it all flows together. On to the next build. Okay, the third member of the Bleed crew here is the Blood Eagle. Now, the theme behind this build is that this is actually a Covenant member. Now, if you know of the YouTuber Yitsuki, he's an absolutely awesome guy, really top lad, and he's a really good content creator. He's a really good Elden Ring player. Now, within the first year, I think, of Elden Ring being released, the first, you know, maybe 13-14 months, Yitsuki was doing a lot of invasions on the Blood build that he made. Really cool build, and he called that build, I think it was the Blood Eagle as well. I think it was the Blood Eagle, but this build is also the Blood Eagle. But I didn't steal the name because Yitsuki actually opened that build up to becoming the Covenant leader, and the Covenant was called the Blood Eagles, and he put it out there and said that if you want to get involved with this player Covenant that I'm creating, we're the Blood Eagles. You've got to look like a bird, and it's got to be an out and out absolutely deadly build. So it's got to be no holds barred. You're just going for massive blood procs. You're not taking any sympathy on our opponents. We're not going light on the build. It's all about ripping and a tearing with the blood. Do you know what I mean? It's about going hard on our opponents. We're going to be known as the Blood Eagles. Obviously, an eagle is a bird, so part of the player Covenant is that you've got to wear some feathery armour, and you've got to look like a bit of a bird. So as you can see, I absolutely love the armour on this one. We've got a really cool helmet with the feathers. We've got Blades armour as our chest piece, and it goes together really well, and it actually gives us quite a big poise boost on this build. So this is quite a strong build. We've got a lot of deadly bleed weapons. We've got some good investment into arcane, and it's quite easy on this build to get some good blood procs. I chose a specific few weapons on this one. I didn't want to go for any of the boss weapons like the Rivers of Blood or the Moog Spear or any of that. I picked some kind of bog standard weapons that you find within the game. You can see we've got the halberd, we've got the rapier, all blood infused, and we're actually using the Hoslow's whips as well on this build. All really deadly stuff, but you can see there the big boy just grabbed me in this invasion, threw me to the ground. So pretty simple weapons really, but when you blood infuse them, especially with the Ashes of War that I've got, you can see they're repeating thrusts. Blood infused on the rapier is absolutely deadly. We are getting some really good damage. When you mix it with the poise, high defences, you can see, you know, spinning slash on the halberd is just ridiculous. We're getting some really good blood procs, and it's just a good build. It's a great idea for Player Covenant by Yitsuki. I don't know if the Covenant's still going, but I still regularly use this build, and he's always referred to as a Blood Eagle because he is a Blood Eagle himself. And you can see there just how strong he is with that invasion. We actually absolutely tore through that duo. Easy stuff. Really good invasion. It's a really good build. We're down in the deep root depths now for the next one. This is a third invasion. I'm looking to do 4 invasions each for each build. So we're doing 4 invasions to give you an idea of the different playstyles that I've created with these bleed builds. And you've probably gathered already that we're doing a rating at the end of it. So this is going to be a running theme throughout this series. I'm going to bunch builds together like this. So you can imagine like a magic video where I'm going to be putting all my magic based builds together. Fire builds. I've got a lot of other little mini categories lined up to do some ongoing videos. Like I say, I've got a hell of a lot of builds, and I think this is quite a good way to showcase them by putting similar builds together but putting them into one video so you can see how much variation you can actually create within one genre of build. We've also got the shield on this build as part of the Blood Eagles kit. Always fun going for parries when you can. I think this particular shield as well, you can see it's the teardrop shape build, shield, sorry, beg your pardon. It's a teardrop shape. That's a tongue twister. It's the teardrop shaped wooden shield. There you go, that's what I wanted to say. And it's really fun going for some parries. And I've got the dagger as well, as you can see there, in my second weapon slot equipped. If we get a nice parry, we can get some good critical attack damage with the dagger. And the dagger alone actually on this build is very deadly. As you can see, we just finished that host off in the last invasion with a flurry of attacks from the dagger. Yeah, it's just a fun little mix up. It's good for critical attacks, but it's also fun to use it as a main weapon as well. The summon panicked there at the start of this invasion and just rolled off the edge. Keep you cool, dude. He just rolled straight off the edge of the map into the water, and he's left the host all alone with the Blood Eagle. We've got the double whips, and the double whips have got Raptors of the Mist equipped on them. Really cool Ash of War. You can bring people in, make them attack you, and then you do that really nice little jump up in front of them. And if you get a kill using the Raptors of the Mist as well, it's really stylish. Got a bit of a delayed blood explosion there on the host, and we just follow that up with a running attack with the whips for the kill. Really nice. Let's take a look at the overall results. So we've got performance. This build's an A. Really strong. Fun factors, an A+. There's a lot of different weapons going on with the build. Parrying's always a lot of fun. The whips are a hell of a lot of fun as well. Fashion, absolutely S. I love the fashion on this. Top tier fashion choices. Really good build. So guys, the very last member of the Bleed crew is Bloody Murray. Now this has been a bit of a favourite build of mine for a while, but unfortunately I'm going to get into it a little bit more. It's feeling quite weak at the moment. It's a very fun build. It's Bloody Murray, you know, the terrifying witch Bloody Murray. She's a blood mage. We all know the name Bloody Murray. She's got all of the blood spells available. She's got the faith-based blood spells, but she's also got the Bruiser of Punishment and the Bruiser of Sin available as well. So we're using the staff and the seal on this build, so we can switch between whichever spell or incantation we want to use. She is the ultimate blood mage. But as I said, you know, when I first made this build, people weren't as kind of savvy as to what was going on with certain spells, certain weapons. You could get away with using some stuff which, you know, I don't know how to put it without making it sound really, really weak, but you could get away with kind of using a lot of things that people are a lot more keyed into in the day and age that we're in Elden Ring's life cycle, if you know what I mean by that. We're 2 years into the game, people have pretty much seen everything that there is to offer, and these spells that we're using on this build, they're very good as part of an overall kit if you're mixing them into a lot of different things. But the problem is with these is that they're all kind of very interruptible. You know, you can be, if someone pushes you down, if someone just rushes you, gets in your face, you're going to struggle to get these spells off. They're very easy to be interrupted if someone attacks you while you're trying to do these spells. You can be knocked out of the animations really easily. And with the fashion that we're using on this build as well, we don't have hardly any poise, we don't have many defences, and it's quite weak in terms of easily being knocked out of the animations for these spells. They can be quite useful if we get some space. In a one-on-one situation, they can be very deadly, but in a gank situation, this build is going to suffer. It's going to struggle because, like I say, if we rush down, it's very hard to get any decent use out of the spells that we're using in this rotation. It's all about the theme. This build is all about the theme of being Bloody Mary, being that horror icon. But as you'll see from the invasion, it's quite a hard build to get a lot of success with. And I'm really sad to say that because it's a very, very fun build. But I think at this point, as I said, at this point in the game's life cycle, I need to be looking at reworking this build. It needs more poise, definitely. Either that or it needs maybe Endure mixing in to help us land some damage. Our defences are very low. Our weapons aren't doing a lot of out and out, you know, health damage, so we really are relying on getting those blood procs. But it's hard to get the blood procs because we're so weak in exchanges. As you can see, we take a lot of damage. It saddens me to say, but I think this may be the last outing for Bloody Mary in terms of how she is in this moment. She's going to need a rework or she's going to need redoing altogether. I haven't decided yet, but I had a lot of trouble getting these clips together, and she's definitely the weakest blood build that I currently have. Maybe even the weakest in my whole lineup. I'd say she's definitely bottom 5, maybe even bottom 3. And like I say, it really saddens me to say because I do love this build, but she just feels like there's something wrong at the minute. I think, like I say, I think it's just in terms of the game's life cycle. There's not many people out there who are using quirky builds. Like Bloody Mary is a very, very quirky build. There's not many other people using these types of builds when you invade. People are kitted up to the nines. They've got really strong weapons. They've all got really, really heavy armour, and they've all got a lot of defences. And like I say, it's a difficult build to use. I spent a long time trying to get some good invasions to showcase, and like, you know, some of them are losses on this one. Some of them are losses. You can see now this was a really good invasion. We got unlucky a few times, but this is a loss. But it was a good invasion, you know. We put up a good fight in that one. So yeah, she's a fun build. I've got a special place for it in my heart, but I think she's going to need a bit of a rework. This is just another good example of the kind of invasions that you have to put up with. And when you're using a quirky build like this with not much health and stuff, not much defense. She's got plenty of health, I must say. She does have plenty of health, but she's not got many defenses and a lack of poise. We're coming up against two people here using the great swords. One of them's got a colossal great sword, the gut sword. They get a blue in soon, and look at the damage. Look at the damage. It's just very hard to get anything done. But we keep trying. We've got some good weapons on the build. We've got some really cool weapons in terms of the theme. I forget what this hammer's called that we're using, but I absolutely love it. It looks really, really cool. It's blood infused, and we've got Stormcaller on that one, so we can catch people out in the Stormcaller and get some blood procs. But again, all it takes is a big jumping attack to knock us out of it and do a lot of damage. Look at this, the blue's in, we've just got 3 people chasing us with great swords. It's an absolute nightmare, and we're dead. And look at how proud they are, look at him. They're all so happy with themselves. You did a good job, guys. Well done, well done. And now we're in Mogwin's Palace for this one. You can see we've got a Scavenger's Curved Sword as well on this build. The 3 weapons on this build are the hammer we were just using, we've got the broadsword with Bloody Slash, and then we've got the Scavenger's Curved Sword as we're using in this invasion with Sword Dance. The Scavenger's Curved Sword, it is quite good. Obviously we could use 2 Scavenger's Curved Swords, but I chose not to because we're already juggling around in our left hand between the seal and the staff, so I didn't want to throw another weapon into the mix. Because I'm just going to get confused in the invasions. I've already got to be juggling between the seal and the staff depending on whether I'm using incantations or spells. So another weapon in the mix would have been a nightmare. But you can see this invasion, there's 2 of us and 1 host. But you know, I'm not going to stand back and let him one-on-one. You know, I'm going to get in there, we're going to gank the host. He obviously had the Taunter's Tongue activated, so he either wants to be ganked or he had a friend in with him earlier who died, and now it's a 2-on-1, so we're going for it. I'm doing my best to help our other invader here. I'm using some of my long range spells for harassment, and you know, this is kind of showcasing what this build can do when it gets a bit of space. But as I said, I think this is going to be the swan song for Bloody Mary, unfortunately, as she is now at this level. Maybe I'll keep the build the same and just put it up to a really high level so we can play around with some stats and try and make it a little bit stronger, but you know, things are going to change with this build. And there we go, that was the last invasion for this one, so let's take a look at the overall ratings. So performance, unfortunately Bloody Mary is getting a C-. Again, you know, in the current state of Elden Ring, she just does struggle. Fun factor B+, it's a very fun build, we're using some cool spells, but she struggles with performance. Fashion is S tier, absolutely awesome fashion. And unfortunately guys, that's the end of the video. That is all of my bleed builds, that is the bleed crew. Out of all of the builds I've made, that is all of the bleed ones. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and you do want to see more of this type of thing. It's something I am looking to do again in the future, but for now, take it easy and I'll see you all next time.